Hey guys, welcome back to the official M&A. In today's video, many of you may or may not know that this past summer I was interning at the coroner's office in Butts County. So I put up a poll on Instagram just to get a couple of questions. Y'all gave some really good questions, so here's the answer. Intern, like I said, at UGA, being a criminal justice major, you had to obtain an internship. So it could be whatever you wanted to do. Most people did like police work, lawyers, because that's usually what they do. But I was pre-med, so I really didn't want to do too much of that. I just chose to do something I was interested in. And I really do like criminal justice, but more on the investigation part. So I chose the coroner's office. So there, I really did everything the coroner did. Like I helped her with her paperwork. I did little office tasks, like little stuff, but the majority of the time we weren't in the office. We had a lot of stuff to do. So I would go to the crime scenes with her. She taught me how to take like crime scene photos, like of bodies, of everything that we needed for files and everything. Aside from that, I bagged bodies, of course, like collected medicine that they had on scene, wrote down stuff like based on what they were wearing, what their eyes looked like, if they were like the state of the body, rigor, liver, all that stuff. So I took notes of everything. It was very hands-on. I didn't really expect that because a lot of other people who were interning at like the law offices and stuff, they were just doing paperwork. I mean, I feel like it was good, but at the same time, it was a lot. I really didn't expect that. So I think I started, after Peru, I started June 5th. On my third day there, that's when I got my first body. So basically, yes, everything the coroner would do on the crime scenes. Most people think like the coroners cut open. They don't cut open. That's for medical examiners. But we basically determine if they need to go get an autopsy. So I'm going to start off with the quick tour of the office. This is the entrance, of course. When you first come in, to the left is her office, where I was primarily at. And as you see her office, it's not many things in there, but this is her desk, the file cabinets, just the little things she has on the walls. She also has like a lot of little jokes everywhere. But yeah, the skeleton, this is where I sat and studied most of the time if I wasn't working, with her books. And this is like the window for family where they can view bodies. Usually that curtain is pulled over so they can't see the morgue. It's usually just a table right there where the body's laying. This is the family room, just with the seating area because everyone can't fit in the office. So there's just really a Bible and little notepads there. This is the deputy coroner's room. And these were the firefighters who helped out the coroners. They don't have to be firefighters, but the two were the firefighters. I really like them. This is the bathroom, and to the left there with the closed door, there's a shower and there's just a pantry. There is a passcode to get into the morgue, but this is the window I showed you before where you can view the bodies. This is just what it really looks like in there. The two beds, the weightlifter and the light, and just ice and everything we may need for the truck. This is the cooler, and over here is where we sign in and sign out everybody to the funeral homes or when we're taking them to the GBI. This is the inside of the cooler. It's kind of hard to open, but it's super cold in there. I forgot what the temperature was, but this little box that's on the left is used for like body parts that were cut off or dismembered. Oh, 36 degrees. So this is the exit we can use to get to the truck. This is usually how I come in and out of the office. The main entrance is really for families or anybody coming to see something. It could be the funeral home, but this is just an overall look of the morgue. It's kind of creepy, but it's super cold in there and it's really cool. I like it. This is the truck we drive for the most part when we're going to scenes. Just body bags to the left with the bed. This is another entrance. This is just a view of her personal truck that we use, and also just a quick video of us dropping off a body at the GBI. So this is what I wore on a daily basis, just khakis. I had a black and a red intern shirt and just a belt and some rain boots just in case of blood. So like I said before, I didn't really want to do any type of police work, any law work, because I didn't want to do paperwork. And I knew where I interned at was in Jackson with Butts County Coroner's office, and that's where like my family's from. That's the area I'm from. So I just stayed with my grandparents during the summer. I did want to do something close to home, so I just chose that one. Stayed with my grandparents during the summer, and got in touch with the coroner. She said yes to the internship, so it worked out for me. I think the downside to that was that it was in my hometown, so I was pretty scared, like, of what could happen, people around me, or if my family was gonna come through there. Luckily, nothing happened, but that was probably like one of my biggest fears there. So with this question, I can say that this was probably the worst thing I've ever done in my life. Maybe some good came out of it, because I think my perspective on life changed, and just how I appreciate the people around me. But I think it was kind of the worst thing I've ever done. I had really a mental breakdown during like my first 2 weeks of the internship. I think really because I was never around death before. I mean, of course, like some people around me, but not that close other than when I was younger. So it kind of did mess me up. It was bad. It got to a point where I was like scared. My parents were leaving. They went out of town like the first 2 weeks. So going through a dark space like that, just wanted to quit. I wanted to, but I didn't. I did talk to my teacher, so she helped me through a lot of it, but it was probably the worst thing I've done. The bodies wasn't the problem. The bodies wasn't really the problem. It was really the families, like going there, seeing the families, seeing the calendars, like people have stuff planned for the next week, seeing the pictures on the walls, the families crying, us talking to them. That was too much for me. So that was probably the worst part of it. The bodies, it wasn't really a problem for me because I felt like they just look like movie props. I feel like in movies, dead bodies they look human. I mean, they are, but it seems like in the office, like you can tell when a soul leaves the body, it's just, the body was there. So it wasn't that bad. I got used to that pretty fast. Yeah, I got used to that pretty fast. So next question was, does this smell bad? Does it smell bad? A lot of people ask this question. It really doesn't. We always went when they first died. Like when the person we first got the call, they probably died in the past hour. Also, we don't really rush to crime scenes because we just didn't rush to the crime scene because there was technically no reason to rush. But it didn't smell bad. Only times people have smelled is if someone came in after a couple of days of being dead or they started decomposing or something, but that really didn't happen. Maybe if they were left in a cooler for a long time, they did smell a little bad, but they were in body bags and they were cold, so it wasn't extreme. I think the worst smells I smelled was going to the GBI for the medical examiner's office. That was bad. That smelled terrible, but it's so many bodies in there, so I mean, it makes sense, but no. I'm gonna list like 3. I did also go through her computer all the time, just looking at old cases. That kind of, I really was doing too much with that. I shouldn't have did that, but I was going through cases and just looking at old pictures, seeing the type of stuff she saw, and just seeing stuff in person. But I think the worst thing I saw, that probably messed me up the most was this woman, and she was in a nursing home. So she came just for, I think, chest pain. She came for chest pains. By the time we got there, of course, she passed. But after doing the examination of her body, she only had a diaper on, and they said she was quadriplegic. I hope I said that right. But she only had a diaper on and just was covered in a blanket. So finally, when it's time to examine them, of course I write down what they have on after taking like all the medical stuff off, and it was just a diaper. But when we start, we have to document like each scar, each tattoo on their body, just to identify the person. So once we took just the sheet off of her body, we saw that she had like these bad bed sores, and it was just, I don't know, like big thick scabs, like, you know, she was never moved. And also she just came to the nursing home in Jackson, and she was in another county before, I don't know, but her daughter brought her there. So she had those bad scabby bed sores, and then once we moved her diaper, no, we first saw she had narcotizing fasciitis. So we saw in her back she had like these two big holes, like I could fit my fist in each hole. They was just green, like you could kind of go in and see her bone. We saw those two. So when we pulled the diaper down, we saw there was like holes on each side of her vagina. She probably had 5 holes in total. But when the diaper was pulled off, like gnats and flies flew out, and one flew in the coroner's mouth. At this point, I had to walk out because I started to cry. I don't know. I think I didn't realize the stuff that people can do to people. I mean, you see that on the news, you see it, you hear about it, but like, I think just seeing that, and basically we came to the conclusion that it was probably her daughter that let her get to this point. And of course she wasn't in pain because she didn't feel anything below her hip. So that was pretty bad. I think another one, my very first one, was sad. The one that we found him after 3 days. So he just went to sleep. He just went to sleep and didn't wake up. I just think it was just sad because I saw the calendar, the pictures of his family on the walls. Another crazy thing, shotgun to the head. The man's, his nose was on the ceiling, his eye was in one place, his lip and like top row of his teeth was in another place. So that was just crazy. Crazy. I've seen a mummification, a man who fell asleep in the car at a truck stop, and I guess it was perfect temperatures because mummification doesn't really happen, but like every eye, tongue, everything that was kind of liquid based was dried out, and it was just like a mummy. Like, you think mummies are wrapped up, but it's just hard skin. That was kind of scary. Oh, let's go back. This is another thing I forgot to say. The craziest thing that I feel like I saw was somebody getting cremated, and the man at the crematory, it's just like him and his nephew worked there. His nephew was like 13. I saw the process of cremation. I saw the cremating is literally what's left is bones. There's no body or body parts or clothing. It's just bones. The bones are swept out and put into this grinder to like grind them down. No, first it's put into this thing where like they put a magnet. You know, people that have hip replacements and like screws in their hips and stuff. That was taken out. And then the grinder to grind them up. They put them in a bag, put the little tag on it, and seal. And sometimes if people, nobody claimed the body after a certain amount of time, we would have to take them to get cremated and pay for it, and it's just sitting in the closet. There were no favorite moments. I didn't have any favorite moments, but the coroner, she did. I really liked her. She took me on like little adventures just to get us out of that office. I was scared most of the time, so she was probably my favorite part. We tried a lot of restaurants, a lot of places I've never been. I've been in Jackson all my life, but it was a lot of places that I didn't even know existed. I say no, but kind of yes. Certain rooms I wouldn't go in by myself. Or when the cooler was full, I really wouldn't go in because it's like you could feel, I don't know if that's with everybody, but like you can feel a kind of presence or something. So sometimes in certain rooms I did but I kind of just avoided it so I wouldn't mess myself up, so I can get through the day. But some days I did have to just take off because it was too much. Also, we knew when somebody was going to die because crows would start circling the office. Crows would be on the truck, like on like the light, like the stop sign, or like one of those light poles. Or we would see a lot of them in a certain area. And what's crazy is we would see a lot of them in that area, and then it would be a death like the next 2 days. So that was kind of freaking crazy. And I knew, like, when I saw a crow, I'd be like, oh my gosh. Some days I'll just be like, oh, I can't come in, I'm sick, or I gotta do something, because that was too much. And the fact that we knew somebody's gonna die, like, I couldn't accept that, and I couldn't even wrap my head around if somebody in my family, because my family's all spread out, so if I saw crows in that area, I was scared that somebody in my family in that area, because both my mom, well, not really much of my dad's side, but my whole mom's side lives in Jackson, so I was just scared somebody in that area, that we'll get a call that they will, somebody would pass. But I also used to go through files of like my last name to see, like family members that passed, just to see like all the details. So I did do that, but I didn't find anything, suspicious. I didn't really tell nobody because I thought that was kind of wrong, but I did look through family member stuff. Okay. I'm gonna also talk a little bit about how scary I was. Like, if anybody that knows me knows that I'm scared of everything. I'm scared of the dark. I'm scared of ghosts. I'm scared of ghosts more than I'm scared of people, animals. Like, that's just not my thing. So, in the office, I didn't pee. I didn't go to the bathroom for the first 3 weeks. I just held it till I got home. I made sure to go to the bathroom before I went there. I was also there from like 7 a.m. to like 2-ish, unless it was a death or something. So I never used the bathroom. I was scared. She told me all the little haunted stories and stuff, that she was like things breaking or things coming up missing in the office. And I think she thought it was funny. No, it scared me too bad. But eventually I got used to it. I got used to being around the bodies. I didn't want to touch them. So I was a little scared that like something would come through me. But yes, that's it about that. I was scared of the office. I was scared of the truck. I was scared of riding on the interstate with a body in the back. No, I was scared of all of that. A lot of people ask, like, did the dead body scare me? Or was it scary to see them, look them in the eyes? I didn't really look them in the eyes. Like, I would close them. I was just too scared. I think looking at them in the eyes was a little too much connection for me. So I steered away from that. I really tried not to look at them in the face, especially when we first get there. That was a little too much for me. I think when I was at the crime scenes, I did a lot of talking to myself in my head, praying for the families, also for them just to change over and basically their journey to their new life or their next life. So I did a lot of praying because it was just sad. It was just very heavy. So it did kind of mess me up, but I don't know. I kind of spiritually, I feel like I was becoming more in tune with myself and everything else. I don't want to get too deep into that, but it did kind of mess me up. I did go through a very dark space of just wondering like how this is impacting me, how being around all these dead people, all these spirits, not knowing if they were good or bad was gonna affect me. But I feel like I did a good job kind of separating it and trying to keep bad things away or like bad juju away, but I was just ready to be done. I don't know, that whole those 2 months, a little over 2 months, it was just hard. And I feel like I wasn't really talking to anybody about it because like it just made me want to cry. Like, it was sad, it was hard. And I think spiritually I was just like confused on what was going on in my life. Because why is this making me feel like this? But I guess that's just, death is just sad. So that's probably why I was like that. I don't really have an answer for that question actually. But I do feel like it changed me as a person in a way, because I do appreciate life a lot more. I do appreciate the people around me. And I do like live a little more like my last day could be tomorrow. I think it just got me to a point to realize like death is real, like this is real. And I didn't like that. So yeah, I know it was a lot of similar questions about day-to-day thoughts. The most challenging part, I think I kind of answered a lot of people's questions in the couple of questions I did say. I didn't mean to, but I kind of did combine. One question was, what was the biggest takeaway from the experience? I think appreciating life more. I did have to talk to people. Like, y'all, I just don't like talking to people. I don't like meeting new people. I don't like having to have small talk. So, or just comforting people. But I feel like that was like, I think that was really good. I was forced to sit in uncomfortable like spaces and just figure out how to talk, figure out how to make conversation, try to lighten up the mood. It wasn't really light, but I also feel like I learned kind of how to comfort people, and me trying to be a doctor, like that's needed. So it was good in a way that I opened up a little bit, and that was easier for me to talk, but I didn't really do that. I've learned there's so many ways to die. I mean, it's important because I don't do that stuff no more because I'm really scared. I think like nobody wants to like, I don't know. But I learned there's a lot of ways to die. Maybe I'll get a little fact sheet or something, but I learned some stuff that I do on a daily basis. Like, I mean, anything can happen to anyone. It's like random 1 in 1,000 chance stuff, but I learned a lot of different ways to die, different ways that you could cause yourself to just eventually, like you could kill yourself not even knowing. I mean, that's important because I don't do it no more, because little stuff can give you a heart attack. I learned little signs of the body that shows that you're about to have a heart attack or you're about to go into this or this space. So that was good. I feel like I learned a lot of stuff than I learned in school in regards to like the body and like medical stuff, because I read a lot of medical records. We used to go through medical records just to determine like if that could be the cause of what just happened to the person. So something else that somebody didn't ask, but I like to share was that in Jackson is where the prison is, where they do the where all like death row inmates are. So they kind of stopped because of COVID, but also the prison was just scary, like, and it's just such horrible conditions. That's what I wrote. I had to, during my internship, I had to write papers, like 13 5 to 6 page papers and a 30-page paper. My 30-page paper was on the prison because it's messed up over there. There's no heat, there's no air, there's no water sometimes. It's just rats. The inmates that are on death row or in the unit, what's it called? Solitary confinement. It's like they didn't even allow them out to wash their clothes. Those inmates that died in their cells in the solitary confinement or committed suicide, the floors are just covered in like poop, food, trash. They didn't have any clean clothes on. There were no clean clothes in the room. The toilets were full. The inmates couldn't shower. They couldn't get their hours out. They couldn't get phone calls. And everybody was saying it was based off of them being understaffed. But like, it's just horrible conditions. Horrible smell, horrible conditions. It's just very scary. So, and inmates die pretty often. I think that was like, most of the deaths during the summer was with inmates. And sometimes it would have a video attached. Sometimes it would just be like, inmates will be dying a year later because of a fight they got in. But yeah, I feel like I said a lot. I know I forgot a lot, but I think that's like a memory I've been trying to stuff behind. But yes, thank you guys for tuning in. I think this was kind of heavy. Like, I think it sounded more exciting when I thought about it, but this was kind of like a little heavy. But it's interesting, y'all, because I still like dead bodies. That part, the medical examiner's office was nice, pretty cool. I just didn't stay long enough to watch an autopsy, but I still would be interested in the autopsy part. Sorry, I can't talk, but not the family part. So anybody that's like interested in it, I'm not saying this to deter. I won't do the coroner's office again. Actually, I'm lying. I think I might go back and intern for a little bit because I'm straight. I'm okay now, but that was the worst thing I've signed up for. Like I was saying, it wasn't meant to be a little heavy, but I think we're good. I checked everything off the list. Comment any other questions you have because I could just answer it, but thanks for watching, guys.
Tell Joe Biden right now.
What's up, baby? Take me out to dinner.
Hey.